Whoever is calm and whoever is reticent and speaking wisdom, you hold the room. The yelling and the screaming that we're seeing right now on media where you just can't get the news straight anymore. I think you and I discussed that briefly. It's like that in Canada as well as it is in this country here. I think we're at the end of a cycle. I think it'll straighten out. Of course, it will straighten out. What are you talking about? Because we, the people, will clamor for calm. Because that's really what we want. It's not everybody acting like a fool, but that's what you're shown. And when you're shown that, you are being manipulated. You're being manipulated to jump in the fray because you're right, they get attention. They benefit from that. If someone is screaming at you and you are calm and you can look them in the eye and remain calm, that will create like a cognitive dissonance in them because their brain wants you to join with their brain, mirror neurons. But the calmer that you are and the kinder that you are, maybe just be to yourself. Is that an assault? Yeah, it is. But it's not always worth calling law enforcement over. So what? They're mad. You get glad. Figure it out. But if you can be calm and if you can practice, and it is not easy, oh my God, I can't always do it. But if you can do that, then you and your world are adding to a peaceful world.
It really is that easy. And it actually helps you see that maybe everybody who wants you to think that the other side is so different from you and so scary, maybe they're just amplifying it for their own reasons and benefits. Maybe if we just one-on-one try to be a bit kind in every situation. We talk about boundaries all the time. That doesn't mean let people cross those boundaries, but you don't have to, exactly what you said, you don't have to rise up and join their level of fury.
No, you don't. And of course, I always harp on there's good and bad in everything. Good and evil are poured into the same cup and we drink it unawares. But look at the protests on college campuses that's been going on since there were college campuses. It went on in Greece, in Rome, people protest. You should be able to say what you believe. You should. So what if people disagree with you? This country, the United States, is based on free speech. First and Second Amendments, I think, are very important. They're all important. But what happens when the free speech is hateful? Well, it can always be hateful to the other side. So we need to chill out. But my personal take on it, when I was college age, 18 or 19, I didn't have a brain in my head. Oh my God, whatever came up, I was going to be doing that. That was just how I was. So you also have to take into consideration the age of the people doing this. On the other hand, how wonderful that kids now have the opportunity to express, are they right or wrong? I don't know. But this too will pass. Now, when a protest becomes a riot and you are destroying your community, burning cars, hurting people, that's a different thing altogether. That's not about the protest. That's about something deep inside of you. That's your own limbic system losing itself. And once you lose control of your emotions, there are consequences. So yes, you're free to do and say whatever you choose. My Wiccan friends say, do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, until what you wilt to do affects another human being. That is the karma. And that is when we need to be careful. So you can do whatever you want until it affects someone else. But there are consequences. There are always consequences from whatever we think and whatever we do. So we have to consider the consequences. And I think one of the kind of funny things about being a kid is that you learn consequences. Well, I shouldn't have done that. especially these days. Oh my God. I am so glad there weren't phones with cameras when I was growing up because I was an idiot. So let them be idiots. Who cares? Get it out, learn. You go to college, and a lot of kids, they've never left home. Freedom City, you don't know what to do. So give them a break. So what if they're obnoxious, if they say and do weird things? That's part of the learning process.
It is part of the learning process, and there's that mob mentality with protests too, where it's not even necessarily what they're thinking. They just get caught up in what they're being encouraged to do by a few instigators.
That is, once again, that neurological aspect of the limbic system. You've got GABA and serotonin and dopamine. You got some testosterone fueling that. Once that takes over, it is running your entire system. That is one of the things with mental illness, with psychosis, when individuals cannot control that because they can't change their neurology by thinking it. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference in that. Now, how many of those people acting out have psychological or psychiatric issues? I don't know. But I guarantee you that some of them are in there. But it also gets down to learning what we believe. What do you stand for? You're a young person. What were you raised to believe? What do you want to believe? If you don't know, you're figuring it out. It's a whole ball of wax. But once those emotions take over, it's on. And we tend to do the mirror neuron thing. If somebody is screaming and yelling and you want to run towards it and scream and yell with them, fine. If it's a party, but if it's a party with consequences and you have law enforcement standing around you, you might want to consider what you're doing. Also, I'll just say briefly, if you are confronted with law enforcement in your vehicle or in public, you might want to calm down and do what they say. Because what do? They are called law enforcement. They have the right to change your life right then. So to try to be a smart aleck or to not do what they say, that will only hurt you. So that is where emotional control is important. And there are times where we have to calm ourselves and we have to be polite. We have to be reticent and agreeable, even though we don't want to. And that's one of those times. But I feel like that because I'm in a law enforcement family. Other people might not agree. My whole
Well,
point is consequences.
right, there are consequences, and it goes back to kindness and being reasonable with people.
True. And what law enforcement has to put up with is just unbelievable. It's the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
They deal with 10% of the population 90% of the time. I couldn't do it. They are trained and they are controlled, and I couldn't do it. Oh my gosh, I have so much admiration for them.